in this video, we will be integrating JSON Web Tokens inside of our Node.js application. We'll start off by generating a JWT and sending it to the client, and then we'll send it back to the server for the user to be authorized. Then we'll take a look at expiration dates and decoding JWTs, so sit tight for that. Now, if you want to understand how JWT works, I have a video on this channel that covers just that. It's only 2 minutes long, so it won't take up too much time. And with that said, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, as I intend for my channel to keep growing, and I try to release content as quick as possible. Now feel free to find the source code on my GitHub page, link in the description below, and let's get started in VS Code. So over here inside of my Node app, I have a basic boilerplate where I'm requiring Express.JS, and I'm setting up a basic server that is listening to port 3000. Now I have two routes, one that accepts GET requests to /users, and another that accepts POST requests to /login. Now the /login is the route that I will send a request to in order to get back a JSON Web Token. However, the /users route will be under authentication, and therefore if I send a request to it, it will not give me back a response unless I have a JSON Web Token that has been signed with my secret key. Now the first thing I'm going to do is npm install JSON Web Token, and that will be the npm package we are going to use in order to generate and verify our JWTs. Next, I'm going to require JSON Web Token as JWT, and then I'm going to create a constant called users, and I'll set that equal to an array of 2 objects. And these will be our 2 users that we'll be able to log in with. Now feel free to use any database that you like, however I'll be using this array as our database, and if you want to build a login system to test out JWTs as if you were in the real world, then I do have a video dedicated to that. You can check it out, where I build a login system with Express and Mongoose. However, we are going to use this array as our database, and inside of my login route I'm going to create a constant called name and set that equal to request.body.name. Next, I'm just going to check if the name is equal to either Jon Snow, or if the name is equal to a.stock, then in that case you will be authenticated. Otherwise, any other names, then we will send out a response with an error saying please create an account. Now if you are one of these 2 users, then in that case we want to generate for you a JWT because of the fact that you are authenticated. And now how we generate a JWT is by calling jwt.sign, and sign is a method that takes in at least 2 arguments. The first argument is the payload, and I'll just provide an object with the name of the user in it. Now the second argument is the secret, and I'll just place a string of super secret. Now note, first off, you don't want to have your secret as something ridiculous as super secret. This is just an example. And secondly, you wouldn't want to keep your secret keys and API keys stored inside of your Node app. You would want it to be in a .env file that if you decided to push it up to a public repo, nobody will be able to steal your super secrets. But for now we will keep it this way to avoid deviation from the main topic, which is JWT. And as for the third argument, well, that can be a callback function for whatever it is that you want to do with the token. However, I'm not going to provide the third argument, and instead set jwt.sign equal to a constant called token. Then I'm going to send a response, and that will be an object that contains the token. Now what's left to do is run my server, and I'm using nodemon, so I'll run nodemon index.js, and now I'll be using Postman to send out my requests. Feel free to use Insomnia or any other HTTP client. And now inside of my post login route, I'm just going to make sure that the body has a name and it's set equal to Jon Snow, and now when I go ahead and send out a request, I will get back a response of my JSON Web Token. Now that our login route is complete, we can now focus on our user route. Now our user route is just going to have one single line in it, and that is response.send users. And that is because if you are authenticated, I want you to be able to view all users. However, as a second argument to my app.get method, I'm going to provide a function called auth. Now this auth function will be middleware. Now if you are unsure about what middleware is, I do have a video explaining it on my channel. However, middleware is just a function that is going to run before the request is sent out. Now inside of my auth middleware function, I'm going to open up a try-catch block, and if any error occurs, then I want to send out a status code of 401 indicating that the request does not have a token in it. And now inside of my try block, I'm going to create a constant called token and set that equal to request.headers.authorization. Now this is where the token will be located inside of the request once it comes in. Now I'm also going to attach to it a method .replace, and the first argument will be bearer space, and the second argument will be an empty string. Now if you've seen my 2 minutes of JWT video where I explained how JWT works, all JSON web tokens come prefixed with the word bearer and then a space. All I'm doing with the replace method is removing the bearer space part, so I'm just left with the JWT. Next, I'm just going to await JWT.verify, and the verify method takes in 2 arguments. The first is the token itself, and the second is the secret, which in our case is super secret. Then I'm just going to attach to my request a property called token and set that equal to the token, and I'm also going to attach to my request a property called users and set that equal to users. Then I'm going to call the next function, so I get out of the middleware, so I return back to my post request to send out the response. Then inside of Postman, I'm just going to go to my get request, and inside of authorization, I'm just going to add my JSON web token. Now once I save it and send out the request, I should get back a response with both my users. Now if you are facing any issues getting authenticated, make sure that bearer is getting removed out of your header. Now the best part about this kind of authorization is the fact that I'm running this application on port 3000, and you can just go ahead and run another server on port say 4000 and send a JWT that you've received from port 3000 to port 4000 and it will still work, which is great for scaling your application horizontally and managing microservices. Now there is one problem here, and that is our /users is returning all users when it should be returning the one user. But based upon my JWT, I have no idea who this user is. All I know is you are authorized to access things, but I don't know what you are authorized to access. So over inside of my auth function, I'm just going to create a constant called decoded user and set that equal to jwt.decode. Now the decode method will take in the exact same arguments as the verify method. So for example, earlier we put in the name as a payload. It will decode that name, and based upon that name we can find out who does this token belong to. Next, I'll create a constant called user, and I'll filter through the users and find any user where their name matches the decoded user's name. And since filter returns an array, I'm going to set request.user equal to user but take the first item. Now inside of my /users route, instead of sending back the users, I'm going to send back request.user. Now inside of Postman, whenever I connect to users, I will only get my account back. Now there are plenty of other things we can do with JWT. For example, if I wanted to log out of all devices, I can create a logout of all devices route, and inside of my users array, for each user object, I will provide a tokens field, and that will be an array that will contain all the tokens. And whenever a user doesn't have a JWT, we will forward them to the login route to create a new token. And if this array is completely empty, then that means you are logged out of all devices. Now it will be a bad idea to implement this inside of your Express server, because as soon as the server restarts, you will lose all tokens. So let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see me implement JWT with Mongoose. Now there is one last thing I'd like to show you, and that is how to set an expiration date on your token. And it is very simple. All you have to do is inside of jwt.sign, where we created our token, we'll provide a third argument, and this will be an object that contains an expires in property, and then you specify the amount of time you want it to expire. I'll just specify 15 seconds. And as you can see inside of Postman, once I copy the new JWT, I'll be able to make a new request, but not for long. And I think I'm going to end things there. Let me know if you'd like to see a JWT and Mongoose video. And please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And on that bombshell, thanks for watching.